What's up, guys? Welcome to our YouTube channel. And as this being our first official movie review YouTube channel, we are going to stop and rank all 10 um, theatrical released Star Wars films. And now, this is just our rankings of the Star Wars films. This isn't accounting for the entire fan majority of the Star Wars films. Some of you guys might disagree, but this is just our rankings. So don't get too mad in the comment section. Now, with coming in at number 10, we're going to go with Star Wars: The Last Jedi, and I think a lot of the fans could agree that Star Wars: The Last Jedi is their least favorite. I was very disappointed in the movie. I had very high expectations going into this film with Ray and her parents. I wanted to know who her true parents really were, and why Kylo Ren turned to the dark side. They didn't really explain that and why he really turned to the dark side. There wasn't like all the questions that led up from the Force Awakens was it wasn't answered, and that's what a big problem was. And the character they were kind of acting out of character. Luke Skywalker especially. Uh, um, we didn't see a Rose in the seventh film, but I didn't like her as an addition. She wasn't that good of an addition. So, but there was some good parts in it. I liked the part in Crate. I just I was pretty upset that they killed off Luke Skywalker in the eighth film, and I was not expecting that at all. So that's why it is at number 10 for me.
So this film was a terrible movie, partly because the original director was J.J. Abrams, and he had a script written, and once Johnson, right?
Ryan
Ryan
Johnson.
Johnson came in there and just threw those out the windows and said, "Hey, let's just do something completely different that doesn't make much sense." That's kind of what happened. It's a slap in the face to all the Star Wars fans for this movie. And it's just like Luke was not who he is. He's a beacon of hope. He ain't going to just quit on the Jedi Council and just, it just didn't really fit in. Rose, she's a good actor, really sweet woman, but I feel like she deserved a better character than what they gave her. It just all in all was a terrible movie. I wish it was never produced or any like projected. I just wish that J.J. Abrams would have directed that movie. It was just terrible.
That's why it is at number 10. Coming at number 9, we were going to go with Solo, a Star Wars story. It was a good journey that they took you through, but a problem that I had with the film was the actor choice for Solo. It didn't really look like him. He was kind of acting out of character. Just it wasn't a disappointment. I just it was yeah. It's hard to say because it was a good okay movie, but it wasn't to that Star Wars standard. With I like some of the parts in it, but again, there is a big gap between Last Jedi and Solo. I still enjoyed this movie. It was a pretty good okay movie, and that's why it is at number 9 for me.
Yeah, I honestly think that this movie is way underrated. I think it should be like, given a more better, like analogy, like what is it called? A better, what's the word?
Trying to say ranking.
No, like I don't know, but it didn't deserve what it got. Honestly, it was a really good movie. The reason why box office was down was because the disappointment of Last Jedi. It was not a very good movie at all. But however, Solo was a good movie in my opinion. However, the actor that they chose for Solo wasn't a very good choice. But I really enjoyed it. It was a really good movie.
That's why it is at number 9. Coming at number 8 will be Star Wars: The Force Awakens. A lot of people why I didn't really. I mean, I still enjoyed this movie a lot. It's got some really good scenes in it. A problem that I do have is with the story and it being almost the exact same blueprint of Star Wars: A New Hope. It is nearly almost identical with Star Killer Base and the Death Star, with showing glimpses of Snoke and how A New Hope does that, and Kylo Ren being like Darth Vader and Rey being like Luke Skywalker. It was just a little too much for me, but I still very much enjoyed this movie. and that's why it is at number 8.
I really did enjoy this movie. It is a Star Wars movie, and I do give it the credit of that. J.J. Abrams took us in like not another. We've already seen it, but it was a good direction that he took it in. I enjoyed it. I liked the new characters that they introduced: Poe, Finn, Kylo Ren, Rey. I mean, Kylo Ren's lightsaber is very cool. One of the coolest lightsabers in my opinion in the Star Wars trilogy. However, it was just again a rehash of A New Hope. They could have done more things than what they did. I feel like Disney wanted to rush, but like it was a good movie. I enjoyed it, good parts, and that's why it's at number 8.
Coming in at number 7 will be Star Wars: The Phantom Menace. Now, a problem that I have with this movie is it is very plot driven, and when it's a plot driven movie where there's a long portion of times where the movie is could at times seem boring to watch. A lot of people, if they're gonna watch this movie, they're probably just gonna skip it to the end, and when Qui Gon, Obi Wan go up against the go up against Darth Maul and the epic lightsaber duel, one of the best in the Star Wars trilogies. Yeah, that's really the only reason I'm giving it the credit at number 6. But yeah, the reason why I put this at number 6 is because of at times it could seem like a very boring movie to watch.
Yeah, this movie was an enjoyable movie. Like he said, it gets boring at times, but they did set the tone for the next two other movies, which is Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Siths, which was a good movie. Those two movies really good. I enjoyed this movie, although it was long and kind of boring, but not all of it's boring. The final duel is amazing. I really enjoyed it. And Anakin Skywalker is my favorite character in the Star Wars trilogy. Seeing him as a young kid is really cool to see and see how his character arc keeps on, building up to the momentum to where he becomes Vader. And it was a really good movie. And honestly, I don't know why people always bash on Jar Jar Binks. Honestly, I thought he was a cool addition. I feel like he gets too much hate for his character. I enjoyed him, and I do enjoy this movie watching it.
Coming in at number 5 will be, excuse me, number 6 will be Star Wars: Attack of the Clones. Now, a problem that I have with this movie is why it's at number 6 is Anakin, the part where he's attacking the Tatooine, the gangsters that killed his mother. I thought it was a little bit out of character. I mean, I know it's showing the future Darth Vader, but it's just a little bit with the Sith and how nobody knows it. I mean, I haven't seen this movie in a little while, so I mean, it's probably one of the movies that I have that I don't watch a lot. I mean, probably one of the most rewatchable films I watch is probably Return of the Jedi and Empire Strikes Back. But this is one of my ones that I don't watch a lot. It could get boring at sometimes, but it's not as boring as the Phantom Menace, and that's why I put it at number 6. Reason why it's on number 6 is because of the great lightsaber duel between Yoda and Count Dooku. Seeing Yoda the first time going at it with Count Dooku with his lightsaber was amazing. It was a great scene, and that's why it is at number 6.
Yeah, again, I really enjoyed this movie, and I feel like what George Lucas did was a very good, interesting choice. Like Princess Padme and Anakin Skywalker, I love their love story. It's really cool to see them, and I did kind of grow up with this movie, so it might be a little bit more biased, but I really enjoyed this movie. The final duel was amazing, and showing how Darth Vader has his robotic arm, and Anakin Skywalker obviously gets his hand cut off by Count Dooku's lightsaber. It was a very good movie. I enjoyed it. So
Coming in at number 5 will be Star Wars: A New Hope. Um, one little problem I have with this movie, it's still a great movie, is at times it could see a bit character driven and then plot driven at the same time. It could get a little well, not a little confusing, but puzzling the pieces together, especially for people that grew up watching this movie. Came out in 1977. Of what's really happening in Obi-Wan Kenobi training Luke Skywalker, a classic. The Millennium Falcon was Han Solo. these characters are great characters, but at times it could be plot driven and character driven, but still a great movie. Um, but it's just a great movie to kick off the Star Wars franchise.
I really love this movie. It set the tone very well. George Lucas is an amazing director, probably one of my favorites. They really did set the tone for, many other films. I mean, we're already at episode 11, counting them all. So, like, if you really think about it, like, back then, 40 years ago, if, like, George Lucas would have thought how far it's come, he probably wouldn't have thought about that. It was just really good. I love this movie. Very enjoyable, and that's why it's at number 5.
Coming in at number 4 will be Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Now, when I first watched this movie, the beginning, the first half was a bit off brand of Star Wars, and I get it is supposed to be a little bit off brand of Star Wars because it's a Star Wars story, but it was a little like this isn't really a Star Wars movie, and I don't know where this is going. I could see where they were going with it within the first 25 minutes of the film, uh, about the Death Star and how a man came to put a little secret in there on how to destroy it and telling the rebellion about it. And just the whole movie, I love the journey that it takes you on. But the second half of the film is amazing. The CGI with the Star Destroyer and all the starships battling it out in space and on that planet with them battling out down there with AT-AT walkers was truly amazing. I am one with the Force, and the Force with me. That character was great. I forgot what his name was, but he is a very great addition to the movie, and that's why it is at number 4.
I really love this movie. Most of the part, I had goosebumps by seeing Darth Vader in such a long time. The best part is when he's going through and killing all the rebels. It's just so amazing. Such a very good part in the movie, and it really explains how the rebels got the plans to destroy the Death Star. It's really amazing how they put it together. I enjoyed it, and it was a very good film. That's why it's at number 4.
Number 3 is going to be Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back. Um, a lot of people thought they were very hyped for this movie because a lot of people didn't think that New Hope, the first Star Wars movie, was gonna do so well, and ended up doing it, and they were very excited for the sequel, and it is better than the original Star Wars: A New Hope, in all the levels with Luke Skywalker and Yoda training Luke Skywalker, Han Solo and Leia and their little love story, just introducing Lando Calrissian. I mean, oh man, it is just a great movie, and then the ending scenes to top it all off with Luke Skywalker battling it out with Darth Vader, the great, and the one, the only. Just it gives me goosebumps just watching Darth Vader say, "No, I am your father." Oh, it's just such a classic, iconic line. That's why it is at number 3.
Yeah, it was a very good movie. I really enjoyed and loved this movie film. I watch it like a bunch every year, like probably like 5 times a year. I really enjoyed it, and like Darth Vader's my favorite Sith Lord. It's just really cool how they put it together. Again, the most iconic line in my opinion in movie history, Luke, I am your father. It's just so amazing how George oh my goodness, I'm having a brain fart. George Lucas, like did that. It was just amazing. I really enjoyed that, and this is George Lucas at his prime, so it was a very good movie.
Coming in at number 2 will be Star Wars: Return of the Jedi. Luke Skywalker. Uh, Man, it was just great how he came back as a Jedi Knight, rescuing Han Solo and Princess Leia. That whole scene with Boba Fett being overhyped and then him dying very early on in the movie. It was man, this whole movie with the plot. everything about it. George Lucas did a tremendous job, and this is one of the biggest cinematic successes over the past 40 something years. It is a great solid movie that touches on every single note with a great ending with Darth Vader being the one that does bring balance into the Force, and that was prophesied in Episode 1 Phantom Menace. It was just a great all around movie. Luke Skywalker's awesome in this movie.
I absolutely loved this film. And like the things that they touched on were amazing. Like this movie is a phenomenal movie, and I really think that's why like it's one of my favorites. It's not number 1 obviously, it's number 2, but it's just so good, you know, how Darth Vader turns to the good side like no one believed that he would. He throws Emperor Palpatine off. He dies at the Death Star, and then they blow up the Death Star, and Vader gets an honorable death. Just a phenomenal film. I love it. It like I watched this like a couple days ago. It never bores me. There's no part in the movie where I'm bored. It's so good on entertainment level and like cinematic history level. So it's really good.
And that's why it is at number 2. But coming in at number 1 will be Star Wars Revenge of the Sith. This movie, when I've seen it, it inspired me with lightsaber dueling with my older brother. My older brother, and what we would do in the backyard fighting lightsabers, reenacting this the scene where Obi Wan Kenobi and Anakin go at it, and Obi Wan Kenobi cuts off Anakin's legs, and oh man, his whole body is burning up, and it just totally ties in with Episode 4 and how Anakin became Darth Vader. It was, man, one of the most goosebumps like I've ever got in a movie. Easily, probably is. But when, oh man, when he puts on the mask of Darth Vader, it is sick and awesome. And the ending scene is one of the greatest third acts of all time in any film, with Obi Wan Kenobi and Anakin and Yoda and the Sith going at it. It is just a great ending and ties into the second trilogy of Star Wars, and that's why it is at number 1.
Yeah, this movie is absolutely amazing. Just phenomenal movie. Like when it shows the character arc of Anakin Skywalker, my favorite character in Star Wars cinematic history. He's just such a good character, and I love him. And like he's just like when it shows how he became Vader, it just all comes together and makes sense. It just ties all the knots together and ties it all together. It just phenomenal movie, and it's just that's why it's number 1. Really, like Darth Vader and Anakin are my favorite characters, and just I love them, so that's why it's at number 1.
Thank you so much for watching our videos. We are hoping to post even more videos of rankings of these great movie franchises that we have in Hollywood. Uh, be sure to check Sean Chandler out. Actually, he inspired us to make these videos, and be sure to check us out. We'll have a link probably in the comment section to his channel.
The
He
description.
inspired, and link in description. He's the man in movie reviews and movie rankings. But we're hoping to post more. I hope you guys look forward to it. Until next time, we'll see you around.
Wait. Subscribe and like and share the video.
Yes.